Okay, so here we are. We're going to do the cranial nerve number 3, which is
Oculomotor,
oculomotor.
which is purely motor.
Purely motor. All right. So when you go to assess for this, again, step back for a second, because what I'm looking for right out of the gate is I'm looking to see if little J's eyes are symmetrical. In other words, I want to observe the position of the eye in relation to the iris and the pupil. So as I'm looking at it, it looks symmetrical. There's nothing off, in either eye. So then I'm going to continue with, the basic test. And so if there is an impairment, what would I see? Well, I would see the height of the eyelid, is asymmetric. In other words, the eyelids might be drooping. Yes, something like that. Or it might detract from an upward gaze, which is how that would work. So if I don't, Lord help us, if I don't see anything, the next step for me is to look at whether or not he has a basic nystagmus. So what I'm going to do is observe the position of his eye, with him looking forward. And right now he's doing kind of like what it would do, because normally when I see it, both eyes are going to look in the same direction with no nystagmus, right? So, and what is a nystagmus?
Nystagmus is like what you hear referred to as dancing eyes. It's when the eyes continuously moving back and forth.
Yeah, and so you'll see that sometimes immediately.
It didn't look like what I was just doing.
Well, it did pretty well. I mean, it was okay. So, to test that, again, you're just watching the eye, to see, if the position is correct. You'll see it immediately. Now, the size of the pupil when it comes to the oculomotor is really important to observe too, So we're just basically gonna look. It should be a moderate size, like his is moderate, And if it was dilated, then we would know there would probably be some kind of a problem. Like if I was dealing with someone who had maybe a TBI and they were having some type of pressure on the brain, you might see that. So that's the third test. The fourth test is the finger tracking. Now, finger tracking, basically, we're going to move in 4 different directions. It's not hard. And no worries, because we're going to come back to this, but the 2 main directions are up, in other words, superior, and the second one is going to be adduction of the eye. But quite frankly, I'm going to test in all 4 areas. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you, Joseph, watch the pen, and we're just going to go, I want you to track with your eyes. So as I go up, that would be the superius rectus, As I go out, no, not your head. Yes. I want you to do your eyes.
Only my eyes.
So
got it.
If your eyes go out, right, this is abductions, And when I come back, it's the second part of the oculomotor, which is adduction, Now I can go the same on the other side and watch him track, and I can adduct and bring it back. Now the next one is going to be following me going down, And that one is the trochlear. And the trochlear, will be part of that. So you'll go down, and then what else do we do with the trochlear? Do you remember?
Medially, right?
And we'll do medially. So we've already done that. And so when we move, we're going in these directions, and ultimately we're checking the motor component, which is the oculomotor. Even though I know that we've checked abductions and we've checked the trochlear, which is why we put those 3 together, right? Oculomotor, trochlear, and abductions.
Right.
So we nailed just 3 cranial nerves in one shot here. Now there's other tests for them, and we'll get to those. But in this particular case, we've got this. Now, Joseph, real quick, we need to think about the whole concept of accommodation and then think about convergence. So talk a little bit about accommodation real quick.
Right, so accommodation would be like the ability for me to look at a far object and then a near object, and then back to the far object, and each time your eyes accommodate to that, right?
Okay, and
So
then convergence.
Convergence is an important piece of accommodation, because convergence is when your eyes move closer together, they adduct with each eye, right? And so thinking about the oculomotor nerve, it makes sense that the oculomotor nerve is going to be the one that allows us to converge our eyes. And I'm sure that Big J is going to show the test for convergence here in a second that goes with the oculomotor nerve. But that's the important motor piece of accommodation, is again the oculomotor nerve that allows for convergence. The sensory piece of that is, of course, the optic nerve. The optic nerve provides the afferent limb for the response that we need, and then the oculomotor nerve provides the efferent, again meaning the motor piece of that response.
So when we go into the adjustment near to far, or convergence, we'll say in this particular case, when we go with convergence, you're going to hold out here and you're going to have the person track. Okay, so we're far and we're going in near. And what should happen is his eyes should stay constricted and he should adduct.
Yep, and they're both adducting.
Yeah, so if it doesn't stay constricted, okay, if it dilates, okay, then you have a problem, all right? Because it means that it's too much pressure on that area. So when I come in, look how far I can come all the way in, okay? What'll happen is if you get close and you notice, okay, that they dilate, okay, then you're having an issue, okay, and that's convergence, okay? So, and that would be noted as adjustment from near to far is how that would be. So going in either direction, you've got to be able to show constriction versus dilation. That makes sense?
Makes sense.
All right. And so that's cranial nerve number 3. We'll come back next with cranial nerve number 4, which is the trochlear.
Trochlear.
All right.